Hello Internet, Jojo here, and welcome guys and gals to a new episode of the series that I call Calculating Whatever I Feel Like It, because this is my YouTube channel and I can do what I want. It's a long title, but it gets the point across. Anyways, today, in this video, we're going to calculate two of my favorite feats done by the Jedi/Sith Starkiller, from the now non-canon but will always be canon to me, Force Unleashed game series. The main character of these games, Starkiller, was Darth Vader's secret apprentice, trained with the end goal of eventually helping Vader overthrow the Emperor. However, when the Emperor learned of this plot, he ordered Vader to dispose of him, which is a fancy way of saying killing him.
His spies followed you here.
After stabbing him and throwing him into the vacuum of space, Vader then saved him, if you can call it that. When Starkiller awoke, Vader informed him that he was now to act as a spy and infiltrate a small group of rebels that opposed the Empire. The plot of the first game follows Starkiller as he struggles to come to terms with Vader betraying him and his mission.
Poor boy. The Sith always betray one another.
After some time, he eventually does decide to permanently side with the rebels and fight against the Empire. At the end of the first game, Starkiller sacrifices his life to save those rebels.
He is dead.
This single event sparked the rebellion that would lead to the end of the Empire.
Are we ready to finish what he started? Then at last, the Rebel Alliance is born. Here. Tonight.
However, after Starkiller died, Darth Vader took his body and used it as the base of a new Jedi clone army. This plan of Vader's seemed to work. For a while. Unfortunately, the accelerated cloning process was imperfect, and many of these clones retained some of the memories of the original.
They are the memories of a dead man. A side effect of the cloning process.
Upon learning that these memories had surfaced in one particular clone, Darth Vader ordered him to be disposed of. Yet again, it means killed in evil mastermind talk.
But I have no further use for you.
But this clone would not go down easy, or, you wouldn't have the protagonist of the second game. He easily broke out of the cloning facility and made his escape.
Will not stop. I will not rest. Vader can't stop me now.
On his way out, Starkiller came across a small army of stormtroopers who were ordered to stop him, and in response, he massacred them all in just glorious fashion. Starkiller does a lot of awesome things in this fight, but the coolest power that he uses is a move called Force Repulse. This is a move where the Force user draws all their power into them and then suddenly releases it in an explosion of energy. The effect of Starkiller's Repulse was so powerful that it basically melted several stormtroopers in their armor while blasting away the rest. Now, as always, the energy that is unleashed in this attack has to be equivalent or greater than the visible effect, and the most important visible effect that is shown is the cremation of these stormtroopers. From this scene, we can count that there are about 29 troopers that are reduced to ash. So from here, we just need to find out how much energy is required to cremate a human of this size. Now, for this calculation, we are going to assume that the stormtroopers have similar specs to those of clone troopers. I know they're not clone troopers, but this is the best we got to go on. So, Jango Fett's canon weight is 79 kilograms, or around 174.2 pounds. Taking this weight for each of the troopers, and we can plug it into this formula. This formula might look like a bunch of pointless numbers, but it holds all the information we need to find the energy required to cremate a human. The 79 kilograms is obviously the person's weight, the 3,470 joules per kilogram is the specific heat of a human, the energy to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of human by a single degree, the 871 is for the heat of cremation, and the 37 is the internal heat of a human in Celsius degrees. Using these values, we get a produced energy of 228 million calories or 956 megajoules of energy to cremate each of the stormtroopers. Multiplying this by the number of troopers cremated, and we get a grand total of 27,745 megajoules of energy, or enough to turn about 9 people into vapor. Man, with power capable of vaporizing people, could there be any other feat that Starkiller has ever done in his games that could possibly outshine it? Well, yes, there's actually quite a lot. I mean, he casually lets loose bolts of electricity, can throw around TIE fighters, and would later stop the Millennium Falcon dead in its tracks. Quick calculation, the Millennium Falcon has no cannon weight that I could find, but it's likely around the same weight as the SpaceX Falcon Heavy. This real-life rocket is about twice the length of the Millennium Falcon, but is considerably thinner, so they probably equal out. The SpaceX Falcon weighs exactly 1,420,788 kilograms, or over 3 million pounds. Because the Millennium Falcon has an in-atmosphere speed of 1,050 kilometers per hour, or just under Mach 1, this much mass moving at this speed would have a kinetic energy of 14.6 tons of TNT.
Disappointed!
Because that last calculation was incredibly disappointing, let's do something that we really probably shouldn't. Let's assume that Starkiller was stopping the Millennium Falcon at its max speed of what Han Solo describes in A New Hope as 0.5 past light speed, or 1.5 times speed of light.
What a piece of junk!
She'll make 0.5 past light speed. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
1.4 million kilograms moving at 1.5 times speed of light would have a kinetic energy of 34 teratons of TNT. Now, this is a fake number. This does not matter because we know that the Falcon was not moving at max speed, but it makes me feel better because that one was just so stinking depressing. 14 tons of TNT? Seriously. Anyways, let's move on to Starkiller's last and my favorite feat of the bunch, when he pulled down a Star Destroyer. In the trailer for their first game, Starkiller is shown ripping a Star Destroyer out of the sky and then stops its forward momentum. When it comes to objects that are floating against the planet's gravity, we can assume that they're being pulled at their terminal velocity, as that is the speed where gravity cannot pull anymore. In order to find the ship's exact terminal velocity, we need to have the weight in the cross-sectional area. A Star Destroyer is about 1,600 meters in length. Taking that and using this top view of a Star Destroyer, we can find that it has a cross-sectional area of over 700,000 square meters.
That was easy.
So now that we know its cross-sectional area, we need to find its weight. And luckily we can look to Forbes. For some reason. I'm not sure why Forbes calculated this, but to each their own, and they probably calculated weird stuff. According to Forbes, a Star Destroyer likely weighs about 4.4 billion kilograms. This cross-sectional area and weight lead to a terminal velocity of 52,000 meters per second. This is the velocity that Starkiller must have matched in order to pull the ship down. However, he not only matched this velocity, but pulled it faster. Considering that military planes fly at about 50,000 feet in the sky, and it takes 9.92 seconds for it to reach the ground, we can add an extra 1,536 meters per second onto its terminal velocity. We can also add an extra 975 kilometers per hour, or 270 meters per second, for its forward momentum. All this means is that Starkiller pulled this 4.4 billion kilogram Star Destroyer at a speed of 54,000 meters per second. This means that Starkiller pulled with a kinetic energy of 1,549 gigatons of TNT. This is just over 1.5 teratons and is leagues more powerful than the most powerful nuclear bomb ever. Guys, when it comes to Star Wars feats and powers, the movies only show a tiny percentage of a tiny fraction of them. Jedi and Sith are not some weak archetype. In fact, this too is probably a low calculation, as later Starkiller in various alternate timelines would take on Darth Vader, the Emperor, Luke, Jedi Leia, and Obi-Wan. So, Starkiller is more than capable of being compared to these Jedi and Sith. Guys, this is actually a video that I've had on the back burner for quite a while. I just never got around to actually committing to make an entire video dedicated to Starkiller. In fact, this actually started off as one of those videos where I calculate the 4 feats, but then I changed my mind like I typically do. Anyways guys, that all said, thank you for watching, see you next time, remember to stay spectacular, JoJo, out.